I think just figuring out the footing in these changing times of social media and public personality, and also how difficult it is to get things made. And it's like, where it's like, I don't care about Instagram. Instagram sucks. Right. But just so you know, if you have over this many followers, you can get the movie funded. Well, I want to make the movie. So like it's a really confusing line to walk. And I've talked to so many smart directors who tell me that they get I'm talking to them about how I'm going to delete my Instagram. And they're like, just so you know, when I'm casting a movie with some producers, they hand me a sheet with the amount of collective followers I have to get of the cast that I cast. So if you delete your Instagram and I lose those followers, understand that these are the kinds of people that I need to cast around you. So and so it's confusing. And I find I'm thinking out loud with you right now. I think this will be a lifelong question for me.
So, for those of you that don't know, that was Maya Hawke. She is Ethan Hawke's daughter. And what she was alluding to was how directors and showrunners are choosing people based on their followers. So whether it's, and that's combined. So on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch, on YouTube, on X. I don't know. I actually, and I don't know how much how much it is like on X or like say on Rumble. I don't know if they sort of disregard that metric or if they do include it, but she's specifically talking about Instagram. And Instagram is a poison. It is terrible. It has led to some of the most heinous and vile infiltrations into pop culture that we are currently dealing with. Before I dive into all of that, hello everybody, welcome back. I absolutely 100% love every single one of you. I appreciate you for being here. It really means a lot, but genuinely, truly, so there is something called Bookstagram. And as with all things, it started out with good intentions. It started out as a way for book readers and book lovers to connect and to share, indie authors and different stories and help you find your people. That lasted for about 10 seconds. And is my mic bad? Is it not working? Am I hot? Is my mic hot? Do I need to scoot it back? Is that better? Sounds like a webcam. I don't have a webcam. Hold on. Oh. Is that better? I forget that my new headset has a built-in mic and it defaults to that. Is that better? Okay. Yay, I forgot. My husband was ever so sweet and got me a new headset because my previous one was I'll have to take a picture. The padding had fallen off, the wire was coming out of the side, and it was being held together with scotch tape and duct tape. I wonder if he threw it out already. But it was not a good situation. So he got me new, really fancy headphones that I am not used to yet. So I apologize. But I am very glad that's better. Okay. Now that we can go on from there. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Uh, love and appreciate every single one of you. Happy Friday night. Um, or Saturday morning, depending where you're at in the world. I guess Saturday afternoon too, technically. But it is just been a fantastic, insane week with so much news. We did our Bond stream last night because, of course, that news broke yesterday, and we're going to get to a little bit more of that today. But what we're really going to focus on, so obviously, if things happen in isolation, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not as big of a deal when things happen across genre types and across fandoms. So, very briefly, for those of you who don't know, and if you're not a member, I think this is a members only stream, but I'll give you a very brief um sort of overview. I Years ago, I was part of a book club, like an in-person book club, and we had rules set in place, and they were to ensure that everybody enjoyed the material. Nobody, like, there wasn't going to be anything insane or anything like that. But we she invited person to show up, and this person happened to be of the leftist persuasion and a raging misandrist. Like, not feminist, she was a misandrist. Well, she showed up, and the way that we used to do things, suddenly the rules got thrown out the window because this person was so persistent, and I was the only one pushing back. And all these other girls that were in this book club with me, young women, like, they're not it's not like we were teenagers or anything. Um but we none of them would say anything. I was the only one that would speak, and I was the only one that would voice my opinion, even though, like, in confidence they would be like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't want to read this. This makes me really uncomfortable. I don't like this." And I'm like, "Okay, well then I'm going to say something. Like, you should all say something too." None of them had my back. Um the individual brought other individuals, and they started, like, this happened very rapidly. They basically infiltrated and infected our entire book club because they would say all of the buzzwords, they would say all of the representation, diversity, like, you're oppressing me, this, that, and the other. One of the rules of our book club was no smut. Like, that was the thing. And I I was heavily against it. Heavily against it. And they were like, "Well, Lady G," obviously they used my name. They were like, "Well, Lady G, just try it, like, read it. If you don't like it, you can always vote against it at the next book club." Because the thing is, we vote for the next book. So we finish a book and we discuss it and we vote for our next book for our next meeting, right? So you have like a leapfrog kind of effect. And I was like, "Okay." I didn't even finish that book. It was so horrifically smut filled that I actually I wanted to burn it. Like, pour holy water on it, salt it, and, like, tear it into 7 pieces and spread it apart from itself. Like, you have to do a Ouija board. That's how, like, insane this book was. I mean, I'll show you a couple of what some people had said about it. And this book has mad reviews. And I never could understand why. And it was going to get turned into a series, but I got kicked out of the book club because after I didn't finish the book and we showed up and all of these other young ladies are saying how much they hate the book and how uncomfortable it makes them feel, I spoke up, nobody backed me up. Then this witch with a B decides that she's going to insult me, insult my marriage, but then she insulted my children. And she's lucky. The only thing, this is where, if you've ever seen the jokes, the weaponized cupcake, the only thing within reach was a cupcake. And so I literally, I mean, and it wasn't like, this wasn't like oh, you throw like a girl. I mean, 7 years of softball, freaking, I wound that sucker up and I flung that crap in her face. And then I got asked to leave because, well, Lady G, you've changed. Like, I've changed. What, like, everything that you didn't want this book club to become, it has become. Fun fact, 3 meetings later, that book club completely disbanded. Like, it would just, it's not sustainable. It, like, this mentality and this approach, it's not, it isn't possible to sustain. This is that same book. This is that same book. Okay? It was overhand. I was an outfielder. Um, I also played basketball, and I was also in. I had at that point I had 8 years in the Marine Corps under my belt as well. She stood zero chance. But the name of that book, it was making the rounds on Instagram, and it's part of why I started to actually look into the culture war. Like, a lot of people talk about what their sort of entry into the culture war was. My in real life, like, I would say here in this sphere, for me, it was the first Disney Star Wars. I don't even remember the name of it. I hate it that much, but it was the first Disney Star Wars movie. After I watched it, I hated it. And I remember the part that I hated the most was when they looked at the Millennium Falcon and they called it trash. And people were like, "Oh, that's supposed to be an homage to when Luke calls it a hunk of junk." And I was like, "No, because there is no way. Like, I'm going to believe that maybe I'm going to believe that Ray, who is supposed to be this super awesome scavenger, can rebuild things and knows how to pilot ships, isn't going to remember the Millennium Falcon, even though, like, 10 minutes later, she's the one that knows. She's like, oh, this is the Millennium Falcon. But there is no way in hell that Finn, who was kidnapped and brought up, regardless if he had made them a janitor or not, there is no way. I have been through military training. Indoctrination is something that they do. Symbols are powerful. The Millennium Falcon is a symbol of the rebellion. There's no way that he wasn't going to recognize what that ship was. It was that I hated everything about that movie, and it started like that was where it started for me. Um, with like the online stuff. So many people were like, "Oh my gosh, I love it," and then a lot of people started turning on it with the second one. God, Jedi. What is it? I can't even remember anymore. Don't know, don't care. The second one of the Disney, not Star Wars. That's when a lot of other people started to turn, but I hated the first one. I didn't even go see the second one. Um, and it's just like I'm blown away by all of that. But my first in real life, like, I was witnessing the culture war happening in front of me and partaking in it without recognizing it. Um, it was with this book, and that book was called A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I still struggle to say to this day. Like, all of the books in this series are just wild. But we got this announcement in 2021, and I remember just feeling defeated because I had literally just been forced to read this book, and I stopped. Like, I had stopped of my own volition, I had stopped. But what I had read was horrific, and so really truly it's smut. It's just pure smut. The world building is virtually non-existent. I like everybody wants to talk about, oh my gosh, the world building, the beauty of this world and this universe and how she fills it out. It's so one-dimensional that I had to put so much of my mental effort into trying to build this world in my own head that I couldn't understand why people were at all in any way, shape, or form excited about this series. Um, she has another one that has almost an identical plot. There is no smut in it because instead of being instead of being NA, which stands for new adult, which is a category they made up, um, the Throne of Glass series is what that one's called. I'm trying to like remember all of it. Um, that one doesn't have smut. It gets close, but they never actually cross that boundary. And so but it's essentially the same story from what I've been told. But this is absolute ludicrous, and I will read the synopsis of this story. But Ronald D. Moore to develop a Court of Thorn and Roses series adaptation at Hulu. Remember, Disney has purchased Hulu. So, Ronald D. Moore is developing a fantasy series based on Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses novels at Hulu. Maas announced on Instagram that she is actively working on the script for the pilot with Moore. Also, this has been deleted, by the way. So it's official, and thank you, Josh, for accidentally spilling the beans. Ron Moore, creator of Outlander and one of my creative idols, and I will co-adapt ACOTAR. Oh God, I hate all of these. Ugh. I'm just nope. Okay, moving on. So, like I'm gonna let my autism cease. As a TV show for Hulu, Maas said, I'm currently hard at work writing the pilot with Ron. And while there is so much more news to share with you guys about bringing this series to life, it just feels so great to finally be able to talk about this. Stay tuned for more details. Right? So that's what she put up on like what she posted up on Instagram. This is where this woman lives. She has so like millions of followers. It's insane. And this goes in to what Maya Hawke was talking about. They went after Sarah J. Maas and this IP without knowing anything about it, without doing any research. All they knew is that it made the algorithm buzz, that people were talking about it, and that they would get free platform notification, a free, like a forward-facing platform without having to do any type of marketing. It would help cover costs of marketing in theory, and we'll get to why that's absolute BS in just a second. The first installment of the novel series, which centers around 19-year-old huntress Freya or Farah, I actually don't know how to say her name, and I don't care, Archeron, was published in May 2015. After murdering a fairy wolf in the woods, she's dragged to the magical land of Prythian by Tamlin, who serves as one of the 7 High Lords of Prythian. While spending time with Tamlin at his estate in the Spring Court, because they're Fae, by the way, and isn't it cute that her name is Feyre? Slowly comes to learn that everything she has learned, See what I'm talking about? Like, just absolute brilliant writing here. Top, like, Tolkien level stuff right here. Feyre slowly comes to learn that everything she's learned about the fairy world, this is the whatever, oh gosh, world is a lie. Following the success of the first novel, Mann released 4 sequels titled A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Rings and A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames. So there are 5 novels total. 5 total. And I am going to, I have not read any part of the others, but I have unfortunately been, what is the word? Involuntarily forced to witness some of this stuff. Like, these reels, these are the like reels and stuff that pop up on like shorts or on Instagram or on Twitter. Like, this is the crap that, like, if you try to search fantasy series, it, like, this is one of the ones that always pops up. Always. And like, if you search fantasy series like Lord of the Rings, for some freaking reason, this one pops up. Don't know why. Yes, Disbrew, thank you. Subjected to. Yeah, absolutely, Adiga. That is what I'm talking about. Produced by 20th Television, so right, this would have been after Disney bought Fox. The series is set to blend elements of epic romance, adventure, and political intrigue. No, it's not romance, it's smut. Like, there is actual assault of the sexual kind that happens in this book. Moore and Maas will co-write and executive produce the potential series, with Meryl Davis also executive producing. Last month, it was revealed that Moore would be developing multiple TV projects at Disney Plus set in Disney's Magic Kingdom, including the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, a series under a new overall deal with 20th TV. He also currently works on Outlander and For All Mankind. He is repped by CA, and we don't care about all that. But understand this. This company, Disney, the family company of Disney, picked this up because of exactly what Maya Hawke was talking about. Sarah J. Maas was all over Instagram, specifically Instagram, but she's all over. It's called Bookstagram on Instagram, and it's called Book Talk on TikTok, and it's called BookTube on YouTube. So like where like just put book essentially in front of whatever for the platform that you're on, right? Well, this was devastating news because there are so many better, more family friendly, safer IPs that could be developed. But thankfully, last week we got some insanely fantastic news. Now, remember, this is 2021 when we get this announcement. Okay, this is 2021. And I think either somebody at Hulu or at Disney actually looked at what was in these books, because ACOTAR series officially not moving forward at Hulu. This was announced on Valentine's Day. Like this was a week ago. So Valentine's Day, it gets announced that this fantasy romance series, if you want to, it's a fantasy smut series, isn't moving forward, even though there's all this buzz and all this hype. So let's see what's going on. It's very vague. I'll spoilers that. Hulu's long-delayed ACOTAR series has reached a dead end. The high-profile literary adaptation is officially no longer moving forward at the Disney-owned streamer and producers 20th Television. A source confirms to TV Line. Hulu and 20th Television had no comment when reached. Executive producer Ronald D. Moore, who was developing the show with author Sarah J. Maas, told TV Line in November 2023 that it was still on Hulu's to-do list. It's still in development, Moore shared while promoting season 4 of Apple TV's For All Mankind. We've written some scripts and we're just sort of waiting. I think the whole town is kind of waiting to see if we have actors before things really move forward, but it's still in development. This is like an actual, like, guys, when I say this is smut, I mean there is, like, it is descriptive smut. Somebody finally figured out that they were going to make a prawn series on Disney. Like, not suggestive, not, oh, it's like we're going to be highly suggestive of this, or we're going to claim this, like whatever. It was literally in your face. Like in your face. Okay? So I hate it. The fantasy romance follows Feyre, a huntress who kills a wolf, right? We talked about this, and these are the follow-up novels. The show was first announced in 2021 with the now deleted Instagram post that we just read. So it's dead. It's done. It's over. Thank God. And according to Variety, it isn't being shopped at other locations. Not many updates have been given on the show since, with both the writers and actors strike of summer 20. Like, they're trying to blame everything except the fact that somebody found out that this was a hardcore like situation that they were about to have on their hands, right? So not many updates have been given. The TV line reported court. That was the that we just saw. So TV Line reported this in 2023, but they wouldn't but they didn't have very many details, and Variety had been told by other sources that it was still technically in the works but not actively in development at Disney's 20th Century Television, which still had the rights through late summer 25, right? And so Moss was looking to take the TV adaptation rights of ACOTAR to a different studio and platform once the option has expired at Disney, sources close to the project tell Variety. But this means she has to wait until the summer of 2025 before she can go to a different platform. And by then, it's going to be way, way too late. No, this was so I never watched Game of Thrones. Spoilers, like I never watched Game of Thrones. I attempted to read A Song of Ice and Fire, the series. But like I got a chapter and a half in and it just wasn't my thing. My husband loves the books. It just never clicked with me. No, they shouldn't shop it. Just you stop it right now. Okay? So, the first installment of A Court Thorns and Roses novel series talks about this, okay? So, they're talking about how successful this was. This was far, like, what was the one? The, Oh, it was the other smut novel that like blew up. Oh gosh. Um. Oh my word. What was it? Ugh. 50 Shades of Grey. My brain had to like, yes, Charlie Stevenson, thank you. Like my brain had to go way back in the catalog because I couldn't remember. So this is like 50 Shades of Grey area is what we're talking about. But instead of set in, I think it was New York or some big city, right? Was the setting, and it's like a modern billionaire fantasy, like the sub genres. Um, yes, to sprue all the way because I read so much of it. Um, but the so like that is the kind of smut that we're talking about here. But instead of it being in like a big city with a billionaire, this is in uh the kingdom of the fairies with their different courts, like the court, like the spring and the winter and the like. So that's just basic fairy lore, right? You have the summer court, you have the winter court, you have the spring court, you have the autumn court. There's also like a moon court. Like the fairy lore, if you've ever delved into Tolkien, fairy lore has deep roots in Britain, as well as other parts like Germany and the up in Norway. There's very deep roots for fairy lore in Europe. Um, but they take it and they bastardize the absolute bejesus out of it with these books. What Sarah J. Maas did was horrific. It is like it's terrifying, okay? So what exactly is the synopsis of this book? Well, let's read it. When 19-year-old, because of course, like barely freaking legal, when 19-year-old Huntress, and by the way, yes, obviously she slays all the bad guys. She is the bad mama Jahamba. 19-year-old Huntress Feyre kills a wolf in the woods. A terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution because this is actually a wolf from the land of Fae. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Feyre discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he's not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, oh yeah, because by the way, she is kidnapped. She is kidnapped and forced to live in fairy. That's the what the whole place is called. She's forced to live in fairy because she killed this wolf that is apparently protected by the fae, but their laws don't actually, they no longer rule our world, but they are still holding her to the laws. It's very freaking bizarre. It doesn't actually make sense, but whatever. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. Because of course, enemies still love, like, these women thrive. These wine drinking, childless, because I don't know about Sarah J. Maas, but I can tell you the women who read this trash, they are misandrist, wine drinking, psychotic feminist, just miserable brats is the word I will use. Um, who think that they're perfect absolutely the way that they are, and everybody should recognize them for what they like, how fantastic they actually are, and they're God's gift to the world and to everyone else, women and men. So you should just you should love me how I am, and all men should fall at my feet and worship me, but I will only choose who I want to use for a little bit before I discard them, because men are obviously disposable. That's the type of women that read this crap. Now, if you're not that type of woman or man, and you read this stuff solely because, oh, I don't know, it's my mother bought me this book for Christmas because it said fans of Lord of the Rings will love it. And she had no idea what she was purchasing. And then I told her, I think I put this on Twitter or on X, excuse me, like No, I was DMing people about it, and I was like, "My mom just bought this for me. I'm gonna wait till everybody leaves, and I'm gonna tell her." And then I told her, and she laughed her rear off because she knows that that's definitely not what I like, and that's not something that she would ever buy for me um or for herself. So like we returned it and stuff like that. She was like, there wasn't any hard feelings or anything, but it was just absolutely ridiculous. But she bought it because it said fans of Lord of the Rings will love A Court of Thorns and Roses on it. And I was so pissed that that was the marketing that they used. They are trying to attach these inferior IPs to some of the greatest literature, foundational literature ever written, because these books can't stand on their own merits. It is fan fiction in a soft it's fan fiction in a paperback that has sold to all of these tens of millions of miserable, self-loathing females and male feminists because they're lonely but they don't want to admit it, and everybody should just recognize how great they actually are, and so they do these self-insert fantasies. All right. Okay, transform from the icy hostility into fiery passion that burns through every lie she's ever been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairylands. An ancient, wicked shadow is growing, and Feyre must find a way to stop it or doom Tamlin and his world forever. From best-selling, oh god, I hate that. From best-selling author Sarah J. Maas comes a seductive, yeah, breathtaking. I don't know about breathtaking. I mean, there are people that get choked in this, so maybe that's what they're talking about. Book that blends romance, not romance, smut, adventure, not really, and fairy lore, bastardized fairy lore, yes, into an unforgettable read. Well, if by unforgettable you mean not enough bleach in the world to remove it from your brain, then yeah, absolutely. This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare in between covers. And there's 5 of these books, and these women have absolutely just locked it up. They they adore this trash. They adore this trash. It is in your face, hardcore. Like I do not understand why they're gonna sit there and be upset that men watch prawn, but then they read this stuff. Like, spare me, spare me. The reason you don't like men watching prawn is because you see it as competition. So you want it gone, not because you think it's evil or immoral or disgusting or any of the other like or degrading to women. Like that's my favorite one from these feminists is they're like it's degrading to women. I've seen the stuff you read. I've seen it. It was forced upon me. I like bro, save it. You see prawn stars as competition. That's what you see. You think that if prawn went away, you would have a better chance at what do they call it? High value men or whatever. It's just like utterly ridiculous. Freaking insane. So here are the genres that this falls under. Fantasy, young adult. It's actually new adult. It should not be under young adult because that is meant for like 13 to 16-year-olds. And there is stuff that happens in here that is like not safe for children at all. Fiction, definitely. This is another thing that has come out of these freaking books that I utterly despise. Romantasy, because fantasy romance was apparently too difficult, or saying fantasy and romance was too difficult. They literally took romance and fantasy and they shoved them together. This is what happens with shippers. This is the crap that happens. Like they take it's like when they take the names of people that they ship and they shove them together. They took fantasy and romance and they shoved those together because they're that unimaginative and that lazy that they can't actually say fantasy or fantasy romance or fantasy smut. Okay? Like just it is it is a feminist power fantasy wrapped in smut. And I loathe that this is where so many women are going because they're so lonely because they bought into these feminist lies that men ain't worth shit. You don't need no man. You got this. You girl boss. What is it? Oh, there's a song. It's like, I'm a bitch. I'm a boss. I'm a bad bitch. Like, no, you're not. 100% you are absolutely not. And it's just, it, oh, it's so freaking ridiculous that this is the trash that we have to sift through. And it has, so crap like this has infiltrated romance. It has infiltrated fantasy. It has infiltrated dark. Oh my gosh. Dark fantasy. Dark fantasy used to be, so depending on who you speak to and exactly what you're talking about, you have high fantasy and low fantasy. Super brief breakdown. High fantasy can either mean like the magic system, the magic system in your world is high, and because there is a lot of it, so that means that it's very frequent. It's all throughout your world building, and it's within your story, and it's key to the plot. So that would be a high fantasy series if you're talking about magic system. And of course, a low fantasy series would be if the magic system is either minimal or it's talking about like the magic has long left this world, and so you don't see a lot of actual magic happening in the fantasy, like inside the world building, and it's not super crucial to the plot, like it's not central to the source of the plot. So that would be a low fantasy. So those are your first two. Dark fantasy, what dark fantasy pertains to is like the underbelly of fantasy creatures. So that's like your goblins, your ghouls, your dark wizards who are attempting to like corrupt the magic system, right? So that's sort of what that talks about. Um Now, the other way that a lot of people take high and low fantasy is high fantasy is more ethereal and positive, like that they're talking like rather than having dark fantasy be like the underbelly creatures, high fantasy would be something like uh it has elves and it has dragons and it had like these very mythical and powerful fantasy creatures or races. And a low fantasy would be like you didn't have very many like the mythical creatures you did have were sort of like the scavengers of the fantasy realm, or like the dark creatures. So if you had, you know, rather than having dark fantasy be like werewolves and vampires and ghouls, that would be low fantasy, right? And so you have high fantasy, low fantasy, you have dark fantasy, you have epic fantasy, you have adventure fantasy, you have romantic fantasy, which they have tried to shove into this romantasy BS. Okay, so there is, yes, exactly, D Day Direwolf. So high fantasy, lots of magic, low fantasy, rare signs of magic, very much so, it's more grounded. Yes, and low fantasy tends to be set in like our more modern world, because oh, technology took over. So if you've never read Dresden, I strongly recommend it. That's a great example of magic and technology sort of like not really existing very well together, and how you would sort of overcome that in the modern world and stuff like that. That's actually a fantastic, the Dresden, it's so good. um it's like genuinely fantastic. But so now we'll go down to some of these. So that's just a very brief overview. A Court of Thorns and Roses would technically fit into like, so dark fantasy was the first place that these things infiltrated, because what they did was they were like, oh, dark fantasy, well, it's actually your dark fantasies, the dark desires of your heart. That's what dark fantasy actually is. That's what they took it to mean. So that's really infiltrated first because one, it's one of the smaller niche subgenres of fantasy, so it was way easier to take it over. And they twisted the wording around. Like, just the way they went about this, it was genuinely some like evil seductress level like this would be like the big bad in a story you read about how they start with the smaller niche genres and overtake them until they get into the larger ones, like high fantasy and low fantasy and adventure fantasy. The fact that this is getting compared to the Lord of the Rings is sickening. It's utterly sickening. Um it I just oof. So let's see what some people had to say. So this book has a 4.18. It is almost a perfect score on Goodreads. That is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So if we come down, this is look at these 5 stars, 4 stars, and there's barely any 1 star reviews. So this individual right here, it's a dead account. So like they're no longer act likely because of the backlash they got from this post. But it's so here we go. Me to Sarah J. Moss, do you lie awake at night to come up with all of your witty replies for the following day? And then she's like, this is quite awful. So the writing. The title of this book is stupid. It's stupid and flashy and unrelated to the actual content of the book. Facts. And that is something that I absolutely hate when it comes to these. Like, there is no thorns and roses. Like, it's supposed to be like a play on words. Like they're supposed to have thorns, and then it blossoms into a romance, which then gets trampled on because in the later books she absolutely ditches who is allegedly her mate because she was undercover the whole time, I guess. But I know so much about this just because it is in so many spheres of like fandom, book fandom, novel fandom, fantasy fandom that I'm a part of, that it's impossible to not know at least something about this just by pure subjected exposure. It's horrifying. It's solely for the wow factor. The quotable line, "I love you, thorns and all," is wholly ineffective because thorns had not been established as a motif and was only used in that context in this very scene more than halfway through the book. The word thorn was only used a grand total of 9 times in this book. The original Beauty and the Beast story had established rose motif. You can't borrow good writing, even a retelling, that's just lazy. That is what this other, so like, when this book originally came out, it was literally said to be if Lord of the Rings met Beauty and the Beast. That's what they sold this as. Like, that is literally what they sold this as, was Beauty and the Beast meets Lord of the Rings. So like it's just the dishonest marketing is absurd. It's just like the fact that they had to lie and it entrapped all of these people and all of these lonely souls is just ugh. The writing itself was inconsistent and poorly done. I pushed and pulled, but the mud was too slick and held fast. Are you aware of the definition of slick, Sarah J. Moss? I do not think it means what you think it means. Besides, Amaranth's hair drastically changed color after about 90 pages. Her red gold hair, her black hair. Which is it, Moss? I can't be both. It can't be both unless she has unmentioned magical hair dyeing abilities. The atmosphere and opening chapter were excellent, and I disagree with that. And I was intrigued by the idea that was offered to me, but the actual book did not deliver at all. The next point is a spoiler because I'm disgusted with Sarah J. Moss for including this. I'm not going to mark it as such, since everyone should know what kind of morals this book is supporting before they read it, especially when they are as filthy and vulgar as this was. So this is somebody who enjoys this type of storytelling, and they hated it. The attempted grape of Feyre by Tamlin was brushed off as no more than a mere romantic, steamy encounter to further their lukewarm love story. The only conclusions I can logically draw from this are all rather victim-blamey. To be honest, she was warned several times to stay inside with the doors locked until dawn, but she leaves her room not once but twice before dawn because she wants to go to the party, and then later, after she almost gets, and is saved and then creeped out by Rhysand, the sociopath, she thinks she is totally safe to go eat a bunch of cookies because, well, the drum stopped, so it's probably okay now. And then she gets SA'd by Tamlin, who was, quote, high on lust magic. It's absurd. So this goes on and on, but here, the Fae were, so world building. This was what I wanted to talk about. The Fae were, for one thing, almost exactly the same, primarily in appearance and personality, to the ones in the Throne of Glass series. And to be honest, I was disappointed. They're not even cleverly unique fairies. They're just Tolkien-esque elves. I hate this. That are actually vampires, fangs, and biting. So then they're not Tolkien-esque elves. Like, at all. Stop comparing Tolkien to this. immortality, ethereal beauty, animalistic tendencies, and superiority complexes. They don't have any distinct differences from humans in their thought processes or emotional capacities, only the same degree of variety that exists in humans. Religious system and creation story was very interesting, and I really liked that aspect. This part I was able to read because that's part of the book. The beginnings of the book, you get introduced to that, and it's stupid. It really is stupid. Yes, they do, D-Day Direwolf. Yes, they do. Okay, what I'm concerned that Disparu and Maz are plotting in the chat. I have not been following along. Sorry. That's horrifying. Okay, so that's a 1-star review. Let's go see what's this. Oh, buckle up, buttercups. I'm warning you now. It's not good. It's oof. Okay. Wow, just wow. Sarah has done it again. This book was amazing. The romance was borderline new adult. With like everything, like bruh, which I loved, but it was also greatly paced. Oh my god. The plot was so well thought out and executed as well. I highly recommend A Court of Thorns and Roses. That can't be a real person. That can't be a real person. Look at this. Oh, so good. Look at the, like, these are your thirst trap, like Haley Bookland, Sasha Alsbert. Like, these are these are the people that you see on Book Talk, on Bookstagram, on BookTube. That, like, look at this. Bryce rocks my socks. Like, Rice really just said I could be a better boyfriend than him. Oh, that's another thing. That stupid like Bookstagram and Book Talk all the time, like BookTube, all you would hear is I could be a better boyfriend than him. That stupid little 5-second clip or whatever, and it was always of like fan art from this stupid freaking book or this series. It was absurd. This is my 8th time reading this book, and I've realized I never written a review for it. Illiterate human saves a mortal boyfriend from eternal damnation. 10/10. That's actually a really good summarization. I wouldn't give it a 10/10. But yeah, that's essentially what happens. Illiterate, weak human turns out that she always had the power. She was always the best. And saves her weak male feminist boyfriend, essentially. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Angela has over 1,500 followers on Goodreads. Sarah J. Maas does it again. Knocked my freaking socks off. And with a story retelling, again, they're trying to say that this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It's not. I hate story retellings. I hate them. Obviously you don't, but this masterpiece is no Beauty and the Beast. I will agree with you there. I'm just going to jump right into everything, and just a little warning, I'm so sorry if this seems like I'm frantically flapping around on my keyboard, but I'm just that excited. I was so worried that this book would have a plot too close to Throne of Glass, which it does, and that the characters would also suffer that same fate. But thank the literary gods. Okay, so now we're thanking false gods. Fantastic. That didn't happen. Yes, Moss still gives us swoon-worthy gents and a strong leading femme. Oh my god. But they are not at all like the cast of Throne of Glass. I almost said Thorn of Glass. This is ridiculous. Throne of Glass. Our lead class is Feyre, and man, oh man, did I love her. I love that she is strong. She isn't doing it for herself or because that's who she is. She's doing it because it's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. Like, help, like, save, like, what? That's, ugh. So Feyre's a dude. So she is internally motivated to do the right thing without any prompting or any guidance or anything like that. That's rare in males. It's even more rare in females. But Feyre, she's just perfect. Let me tell you, it's hilarious to me that they uphold traditional masculine values but put them in women and then make men the worst version of women that they can think of possible, and call it like breathtaking or groundbreaking or whatever. I call it cringe. Da, 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 da. And man, oh man, I love her. Da 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 da. Because she needs to. Okay, this is what made her character for me. She does everything for everyone and expects nothing in return. That okay? Yep. Her character starts as a strong huntress and turns into something more. So she was already perfect, but now she's become more perfect. She has the headstrong will of a warrior and the heart of an artist. I love that Moss gave her so, I love that Moss gave her so much depth and let us get so deep into her brain that her feelings become your feelings. As for Feyre's love interest, she gives us the heart twist swoon worthy, deep, thoughtful man candy that is a what the frick? That is Tamlin. Oh Tamlin, will you have will have oh Tamlin will have you weak in the knees and have your I can't read that. Lol. I can't read that. I can't read that aloud. Here, I'll zoom in. Y'all can fill that in for yourself right there. I cannot say that. Uh Gross. Seriously blushed so much during this book. He literally has so much weight on his shoulders and still stands tall. He is willing to give up everything to make sure she's okay. I kid y'all not, I never ever use the word ship for couples, but as they say, there's a first for everything, and I ship them. I ship them so hard. You see that spot over there in the distance? That is their ship, and it is sailing. God help me. That's me. That's sorry guys. We're not almost done. Can't stress enough how much I loved their relationship. I love that this book is based around it and its growth. They have such a push and pull, enemies to lovers. I love that one has everything and one is holding on to anything. How they play off each other is so well written. Also, had my brain rocked by how Moss stepped up her game in this book because it's like a sauna in there. Whoosh, so good. Round of applause. The sub characters, like the rest of the story, are so well done. Lucian, Tam's best friend, has got to be one of my favorites in this book. His loyalty won me over, which is hilarious because it gets utterly destroyed in the next book. Plus, he isn't so bad on the eyes, if you get what I mean. At one point, I even remember saying, I don't know who I look more, Teen Wolf or the sexy fox with one eye. Bruh. Tell me that's not. Tell me that. I don't think this woman realizes that she has, what is it? Freudian slipped, that she's into the beastie stuff. She sounds like a furry to me, just saying. Don't know this chick, but I know a lot of chicks like her. It's just blah blah. Yeah, Moss makes having one eye even sound hot. Bro, that's not anything new. Soldier characters throughout, especially war romance fantasies and pirate romance fantasies, because those are other subgenres that have also been utterly overtaken by this trash. Like, having one eye is actually a very old trope. It's not anything new, so to call it like groundbreaking is both inaccurate and really confusing and shows exactly how small this individual's worldview and literary worldview and experience is. Um, the evil queen in this book was the perfect amount of mystery, and you will hate her. And then there's Rhysand. There's not so much I'll say about him, but what I will say is that even when Moss gives you characters you're supposed to hate, you still end up falling in love with them. Be glad of your human heart, Feyre. Pity those who don't feel anything at all. That's a line from the book. The plot and world building in this book are so beyond what a lot of other authors would have given us. I can name 36 authors off the top of my head right now who would absolutely destroy what Sarah J. Maas calls world building. Good freaking lord. My God in heaven. There are so many vivid details, so many beautifully painted scenes. No, there's not. And so many perfectly peeled layers. Oh, like an onion, that makes you cry. I was never once left to question what the world looked like or the characters. Okay, so pause right there. One, yes, you were. You had to fill in a whole bunch of crap. But two, the reason that you didn't have to question what the characters look like is because she's literally you a smut scene. And it's not, like I've talked about this before, character description and world building should not be like a list. It shouldn't be like, oh, here is um here is my female protagonist, and she's 6'2", long flowing blonde hair, one green eye, one blue eye, with a crooked smile but perfectly straight teeth, a giant chip on her shoulder, but a perfectly petite body that uh hides her actual inner wiry strength. Like whatever, and then you go to the male. He was a 6'9" towering giant of a man with huge muscles and wide shoulders and a chiseled chest. Like that's what they describe. They don't actually, they make a checklist. They make a checklist of what the character looks like. They don't actually build out the character. And it's the same thing with the world building. They tell you like landmarks and they tell you physical features, but they don't actually build out the world. They build out, yes, I was just about to say that, Adiga. They build out the scene, they don't build out the world, and these people don't understand the difference. All right, here we go. So unpause. So this person has no idea what they're talking about, which I'm sure with their earlier comment about things being aflame, they should probably go to the doctor if they have things aflame. But carrying on. And I was thankful for this. Oh, so they didn't want to have to put in any effort to do any type of world building inside of their own head, even though you had to anyway. Got it. That's how shallow this person is. Sometimes I do like to fill in the holes with my own ideas, but not when it comes to high fantasy reads like this one. You're insane. This is not. I'm sorry. I'm yelling. I'm gonna put my hand in front of the mic because holy crap on a cracker. There's no way that this qualifies as a high fantasy in any regard. I hate this slutty subculture that is permeating from all of the cracks. This right here, this is where it starts. This is where it starts. And this is why I'm so glad that this series died and that it is not a thing. Thank Jesus. The plot is action packed. No, it's not. But it's really not at all. We have this heavy start to the book, not really, a world building middle, no you don't, and a jam slammed action packed ending. Yeah. Jam slam has a whole different meaning, for sure. Because she bolded this part. Understand this. So I'm gonna because let me tell you, when everything comes together and everything is slowly shown, you will be tossing your book in the air or punching your Kindles in their faces. You will freak out. No, you won't. You won't. The only reason that the reveal is like so shocking is because I swear that Sarah J. Maas was writing a different story, and she did it for sure. Like she did what all current modern day writers, and I'm putting that in air quotes, I'm using that term very lightly, do. They do it for shock value. There's no actual logic to the way that these events unfold. It is purely for shock value. And that's it. It's like the end scene to it is not. Do you see what this woman is comparing this crap to? It's like the end scene to Inception. It's not, I promise. Where that heavy dum dum music starts playing and the dream is collapsing and everything just falls together for this epic ending. This bitch didn't understand Inception either. That shouldn't be at all surprising, but it kind of is. When the things you know are coming will still rock you to your bones. No. Moss gives you this heart-filled, gut-wrenching WTF ending, definitely a WTF ending. that I myself couldn't have been happier about, because the only person that matters, this is her review of course, so her opinion is the only one that matters in the context of this review. But the fact that she's projecting all of this, what she is saying is that she couldn't be happier about it, and she, even though she saw this stuff coming, some of it coming and some of it not, she's telling us that we should be reacting the same way or we're wrong. Like, for real. I ate this story up. The plot is just as strong as the characters, so weak AF. And I'm so glad this wasn't a letdown. Moss perfectly blends both YA and NA, young adult and new adult, worlds into this one book. This is a book that will make your heart race and make you want to lose those precious few hours of sleep just to snag a few more chapters, and it'll be worth it too. And this is how she ends it. A Court of Thorns and Roses was the tits. And yet, men watching prawn, like I'm not saying that I support prawn. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can't have it both ways. You cannot say that prawn is objectifying to women and then support this trash and end your review that way. It's just insane. These women are psychotic. Inception and Beauty and the Beast and high fantasy and Tolkien is like absolutely 1000% insane. This is why women don't like me. This is why. Because apparently I'm just more fulfilled than they are, and that makes them mad. And I'm not afraid to like disagree with them. You should see the look on someone's, like, when I was in that book club and I stood up for myself and I thought the other girls in there that were uncomfortable too. You should have seen their faces. Like, it was like they were shocked that anybody could possibly have a different opinion. And they were confused as to why I was upset that the rules that we had set out for the book club were being violated, and I stated such. Wild to me. What are the comments on this post? I really enjoyed your review. Your review is soiled. Yes, I agree. It is soiled. Absolutely, Venus. Good job. Very soiled. Did she end up with Tamlin or not? Don't care. Go read it. I've been through the reviews. DNF? I don't know what DNF is. Sorry. Can't help you guys there. Let's see. Great review. Can't wait for the next book and to find out more about Reese, because I am so intrigued by him because we know close to nothing about, like, oh my gosh. I can't. I'm not going to read any more of these comments. Gross. This is definitely one of my favorite books of 2015. I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan and was in the mood for fantasy, so those combined and written by one of my favorite authors was perfection. I definitely recommend this book to everyone. I can't wait for the next installment. Bruh, what? El mejor libro del año. Que abra Goodreads y hacienda hora de todos tengas una opinión de estrella en no lo crees? I can read Spanish, but I cannot translate it. This is what happens when you're really good at Latin, but you're not so good at the Espanol. Oh, look. She was so excited that she adds digitificals on her keyboard. I loved this book. It took me a little bit to get into it just because there's a good amount of world building. There's not, though. There isn't a good amount of world building at all. There's just no smut in the first 3 chapters. Like, what? Oh my word. Freaking insane. So because there isn't any smut, it took her a while to get into these individuals. Like, they need the smut in like the first 3 pages. I swear. That just insane. The actual appetite that these women have for carnal indulgences, and yet they don't need no man. It just blows my fucking mind. A good amount of world building that has to happen at the beginning, but then I flew through the second half. I love the world, the politics, the romance, and all the characters. The ending had me on the edge of my seat, and I've now immediately gone out and purchased the second book. This person has over 40,000 followers on Goodreads. Freaking ridiculous. Ugh. Rereading this series is never quite like the feeling of the very first time for me, but it's still such an amazing experience. Hello, Faradari. Oh, this is all over freaking booktube as well. Like, absurd. Absurd. Pure magic. I love Sarah J. Maas's story so much. There is such a comforting and content feeling I get when I fall into any of her worlds. It's reminiscent of childhood whimsy. Graping is your childhood whimsy? The amount of joy I get from this series is nothing short of magic. Find a husband. Find a husband. Make a man happy who can make you happy. You can make each other happy together. What is happening? I don't understand. The amount of joy you got from this series is nothing short of magic? Bruh. It's not often I'm left speechless, but the fact that they have compared between two reviews, this thing has been compared to Beauty and the Beast, Tolkien, Inception, and Childhood Whimsy. I am actually freaking speechless. Like, these individuals are far more gone than I had first ever assumed. Like, holy bejesus. I cannot believe this is real. Like, waiting for Santa. I didn't even read this part. Like, waiting for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. What? Yeah. Nope. My mind is blown and not in a good way. Oy vey. Oh my good lord. I don't. These individuals need help and, like, real life experience and adventure and, like, other human beings. I normally don't say go touch grass, but these individuals need to go touch grass. Father Miller, you need to get out of here. This is pray for all of the individuals, Father Miller. This is not okay. When I first read this book only 2 years ago, I was a goner. You're a goner in more ways than one. Immediately and forever, I am a SJM, so Sarah J. Maas, hardcore fan. Well, hardcore is definitely the word for it. Definitely the word for it. Oh man, this just gets more unhinged. This is now my third full reread. I've read Silver Flames 4 times because I love Nesta so much. I don't know who that is, but I love it just as much as the first time. The very first time. Probably more. Oh, these characters are life. I love them more than I like most people in real life. Bro, I'm done. Okay, gentlemen, I apologize on behalf of all females who function like this. You will never. So there's literally something called a book boyfriend. And you will never be able to compete with or even come close to meeting his status in these types of women's minds. It is unattainable, because just like we read in that other review where Feyre is like, she is the perfect woman, but then she becomes more perfect. These men are their idea of the perfect man. They're masculine and strong, and they'll burn the world for it, but they're also sensitive and soft, and they'll read poetry to her, and they'll dance with her under the stars, and they'll carry her up the stairs, but then they'll also slit anybody's throats that look at her incorrectly. Like, you have like hyper feminist ideas of of masculinity, and then like the violent worst parts of masculinity that are also feminist projection, and they like slam it together and create this persona. Like, it is literally a feminist power fantasy. This is unfreaking attainable. Unattainable. It's just gross. Father is here to exercise all of this. Please, Father, like, I know you're not a trained exorcist, but like, sprinkle some holy water on it. A priest shows up and Lady G says, "Hardcore, we're done." Bro, I didn't type it. I just read it off the screen. I'm just they'd hate an in real life they'd hate they'd hate it in real life. Men are fine. She doesn't want someone she doesn't want someone sensitive. Yeah, no, like women are actually disgusted by sensitive men. They don't feel safe, they don't feel protected. Like all of their like all of the things that they instinctually seek are not met. And so this is what I was talking about earlier, where this isn't fantasy the genre. This is like their dark, their super dark carnal fantasies being put on pages. And instead of it being fanfic out in the interwebs where you had to go search for it, they are just putting these books right next to, Clifford the Big Red Dog Goes to School. Like, it's insane. Have you walked into a Barnes and Noble lately? It is smut everywhere. Every freaking where. It's horrifying. I don't like it. So, when we're going back to the beginning of the stream, what Maya Hawk was getting at was the followers on Instagram, like the following that these individuals have, right? And it's I I will show you. So this is Steph. Yes, I blame. Well, I was just talking about Book Talk, Bookstagram, BookTube. Like, it's everywhere. It has permeated everything. And okay, I'm gonna click. I can't believe I searched this on my own Instagram. It's gonna absolutely ruin my algorithm. I'm gonna get so much more of this trash. But I will show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is Bookstagram fan art, fan pages of this series. Single taken, patiently waiting for my Illyrian warrior. Wings and ruin, a court of wings and ruin, right? So you've got the crescent moon, like it's right. So not too okay. This man is topless with a sheet over his wings. It's always like they're very into this wings, these wings things. I don't understand. Okay, not terrible. But now we're getting now we're okay. Oh, there it is. So the hating game is another like hyper huge type of fantasy like this that's set in the modern age. It's enemies to like these women thrive on enemies to lovers, and I don't know why. But yeah, so we've got all of this going on. Oh look, even more. Look, she's pulling the book from the shelf. He is on his knees, wrapping himself around her legs, looking up at her and saying, "You're my salvation, Feyre." Listen. Oh gosh.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy where I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition when we fell into a rhythm where the music won't stop for a light.
Nope. Yep. Stopping right there. That was I'm not okay. I need to go wash my eyeballs with bleach. But yeah, he's on his knees looking up at her. And saying that she's his salvation. Do you see this? Look at, he's flying but she's holding him down to earth and she's got magic in her hand. And they're in a battle scene of some sort. So apparently there's a whole bunch of carnage around them. And is this also a real? No, thank God. So there's all this carnage around them. And they're going to make out right in the middle of it. Here's the books. I hate this. Oh, look at this. This man is topless in most of these pictures, and they're like starlight and fire, and she's got the back tattoo. I don't know what it is about these like back tattoos. I am flabbergasted. Good Lord. But this is what it's been, and they're trying to.
I am High Lady of the Night Court. There is.
So this is a Feyre cosplay at a fantasy ball. There is no such thing as a High Lady, but she is High Lady of the Night Court. Man, they're even getting the lore. Like, not that I don't know why I'm upset that they're getting Fey lore. That fairy lore is inaccurate, but it is what it is. Oh look, it's a horror bookshelf. Like, who organizes their bookshelves like this? Who does this? Who goes by color grade and then puts their freaking bobbleheads in front of, like, I'm actually angry. Funko Pops, that's what those are called. Freaking ridiculous. I hate this bookshelf with every fiber of my being. What is this? Why are you color? This is as bad as the rainbow bookshelf. This is not. This person is okay. So now to get onto what I was talking about earlier. Hold on, I'm gonna hide this because I don't know. Nah, it's fine. We'll just wing it. See, that's what pops up when you type in ACOTAR. Here we go. Are you ready? I can't even spell. Book boyfriend. This is a thing. I don't know. We'll just do this one. Book boyfriend trend, I guess. So these also look it. Very first one. Rhysand from A Court of Mist and Fury. Like, book boyfriend. You can't. This is the trap. Oh God. These women are not well. Look at this. Do you see this? Do you see this? Like, choose a book boyfriend based on his profession, part 9. How many views does this thing have? It's got 25 comments. And it won't tell me this was 12 weeks ago, and it won't tell me the engagement rate. Did they go away with those? Okay. Like, bruh. MMC stands for main male character. Is a lawyer, is a basketball player, is a vintner. I don't even know what that is. Quarterback. A law enforcer. You mean is in law enforcement? Is a hockey player? No, you stay away from my beloved sport. An artist. A bull rider. Oh my God. Do you like this post? No, I don't. But like, look. Why? Okay, so there's 2 women and 4 men. Part of the Fourth Wing crew. Oh, I've heard of these books too. You might wonder, was it really essential for Xaden to take his shirt off here? Yes, it was. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is bull riders, so they're not necessarily all cowboys, but yeah, they need to stay the heck away from cowboys and hockey players. Just cut it out. Look, they fight dragons in this. Why doesn't he have any kind of, like, not that these leather jackets are going to do anything, but they look like they should be riding motorcycles, not dragons. Do you see what I'm talking about? This is what you're competing against, men. This is what you are competing against. This right here. This is the book boyfriend trend crap. Like, ugh. Oh my gosh. Women are really their own worst enemies. Her wonders why she keeps getting sent fresh flowers to her dressing room. See, this is the other thing too. Like, stalking is bad unless he's a billionaire or handsome or a handsome billionaire or handsome and broke but will become a billionaire or is secretly a billionaire. Her scary mafia boss wanting to ask her out but being too shy. This is what I'm talking about. There is no mafia boss who is going to be too shy to ask a woman out. And he's not going to ask a woman out. He's going to just take her. Like, it, this man doesn't this is not logical. There is no logical foundation where a scary mafia boss is going to be too shy to ask a woman out that he finds attractive or desirable. These women all think that they are secretly desired by all of these men. Like, that's genuinely what they think. They think that all of these men secretly want them from afar and haven't approached them because they're too strong and they intimidate these men. That is not true at all. Not even close. See, look at this. He has a knife to her throat and she's got a gun to his head. He's 6'4", keeps dark secrets, and he'll do anything to keep her. Do you see what I'm saying? Her carries around a weapon with their initials engraved. She's 5'4". She's 5'4". She'll do anything to resist him. What? Oh, here you go. Enemies to lovers, forbidden romance, ex-boyfriend's brother, ew, dark secrets, touch her and die, literally, secret society, training scenes. Bruh. What? 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 Oh, of course she has a freaking crown. Is she a mafia princess? Is that what this is? That's another favorite one of theirs. The mafia princess who like runs away and escapes the dark underbelly seated world of mafia of the mafia. I hate that they take innocence and hyperimpose it onto, like, what they're saying is that they get like, so here is the irony of this freaking post right here. I'll click on the next one. Like, we'll go through the pictures, but the problem with this right here is Rapunzel was literally like, these are the same three, if you remember, these are the same three books that she's had for years. She has to read them over and over again, not because she wants to, but because this is all she has. She is literally in captivity, trapped with nothing but books. And so what these women are saying is they're trapped just like Rapunzel, and books are their only escape because there is no hot mafia man or winged fae Adonis to come rescue them. In my Sparkle? Oh, I'm in my... Oh, freaking hell. This crap. In my I don't see any red flags if he's a hot fictional man era. Bruh. Bruh. Dude. Good lord. Okay. Are we ready to see the depravity that's hiding behind the innocent Rapunzel post? Because this is how they snag all this trash. Like, they cover it up under what seems like innocence, even though there's a really dark meaning behind this scene in the film itself. But also what they're suggesting is they are literally being held captive in this world, and if they were just given the chance, they could be this perfect heroine who is so incredible and so capable that all women would be jealous of her and all men would worship her. Let's see what's hiding behind door number 1. Oh, I'm a reader too. Have you ever tried a Colleen Hoover book? Me, exit. I don't know who Colleen Hoover is. Did I finish the book or did the book finish me? Okay. Me, books, real life problems and responses. See what I mean? Anything to avoid real life. Me, when the dark-haired, tattooed, morally gray bad boy villain gets introduced. Well, hello, cute. These women are not okay. These women are not okay. Me, when he's rude to everyone but has a sweet spot for her. Her is me. Literally, they want him to be an asshole to everybody except her because they think that they're deserving. My parents telling their friends how smart I am because I read so much. Me, a dark romance reader. I hate. Again, that was the first subgenre that they invaded. This should say smutty fanfic reader. That's what it should say. But no, dark romance is just like social justice. It's just like all of these other buzzwords. They can hide behind how actually depraved what they're reading is by using disguisable words. And again, look, they're using like that innocent setting once again. My life, me reading peacefully. Again, avoid all accountability. They don't want anything to do with reality. Me at 4 a.m. trying to fight sleep and finish the 50 pages of my 5-star book. The last 50 pages of my 5-star book. My to be read watching me starting a completely random new book. It's just a book. Come on, don't overact. Or don't overact. It's just a book. Come on, don't overact. Me fighting hard to not give them a good slap. I think they meant to put overreact, but whatever. Me at 3 a.m. when he says, "Yes, I'm jealous, my love." Ugh. This is the thing. Like they want a male who is obsessed with them and is possessive, and they want to make him jealous. Disbrew, are you still here? You used to tell me what this was called. Like they did this thing in real life. What was that called? Where like they would set him up to fail no matter what. Isn't that what it was? But like it had a name. I don't remember what it was called, but essentially they are going to like give him they're going to put him in a scenario, or they're going to give him a scenario, and there's only one correct way in their mind that he should behave or react, but they're not going to tell him. And if he doesn't do it, like he could do 99% of it correct, but if he's off on just like one thing, they fly off the handle and lose their absolute minds and freak out and be like, "Oh my god, he ain't oh yep, there it is. Shit tests. They shit test him." Disbrew had to explain to me what it was, and when I told him that is absolutely freaking bizarre, and why you would ever do that to another human being makes absolutely no sense and is somewhat inhumane. He then took me on a shit test walk, if you will, through certain posts that literally, like, he just pulled them up at random. He was just like, "Here's one, here's one, here's one," and I was just flabbergasted that these women actually do this to men that they claim that they love, but they're testing to make sure that he is actually the man of their dreams before they're willing. It's so weird to me because women expect men to it's that 6 list. It's like the 6-pack abs, the 6-figure salary, the 6 foot tall or higher, like that whole thing. They expect all of that from the get-go, but they are going to withhold tenderness, caring, loyalty, basic decency, human care, like fulfillment of any type of femininity until he proves himself. Like she's not going to be wifey material until he figures out or until he proves that he's like worthy of that. It blew my freaking mind. There it is. 6 figures, 6 foot, 6 inches. Yeah, Steph, you and I need to do a stream. Disparu will absolutely destroy the innocence of outlook that you have in this world. It's freaking wild. Just, oof. I hate it. Here we go. D-Day Direwolf says, it's a way for a woman to assert control over another human being when manipulation doesn't work. Yeah, except it is manipulation. So Disbrew says, yeah, they're testing you to see if you break, because to protect them, you have to be stronger than them. So if they can break you, how will you ever stand up to the world for them? It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous and just inhumane. Really, truly. Holy crap, I missed this. Cajun Corey gifted a membership. Thank you, Cajun Corey. That means the world. Thank you so much. Genuinely humbled and appreciative. I really am. Thank you. But yeah, so yes, I'm jealous, my love. Like, again, this is he would that you see this all the time, where it's a hero would let you burn to save the world, but a villain would burn the world to save you. That is not a good thing. Like, these women are saying that they are okay with their love interest, with their significant other, freaking mass murdering people, possibly innocent people, to prove their love and devotion to her. That is demonic. That is actually demonic. Like, genocide is not a good thing, guys. Like, spoilers, I guess. This shouldn't be shocking news to anybody, but apparently it is. Like, oh god, it's just insane. But this is the crap that has infiltrated fantasy, both as a genre and as a subgenre. Look, book boyfriend challenge. Here's another one. Let's see. Oh gosh, here's another one I can read but can't translate really fully for you. Hoya olas triaga esta tag crime recommendo. Oh, I recommend these very much. These are some of my favorite book boyfriends. Ars porque no sabia quien ponera la toco. So there's something for everybody. Oh my god. Primer book boyfriend. Oliver Anderson. That's Henry Cavill. That's not Oliver Anderson. Rigel Wild. I'm willing to bet that. I don't know who that is. He looks like an Instagram model, but I'm willing to bet that that's not Rigel Wild. Magnus Lacronet. I don't know who any of these men are, but I'm willing to bet that they are not. So these are real life men that they are comparing to, like, male characters in books. That's the best I can surmise from this. Like, oh my gosh. So he's a volunteer policeman or firefighter. He's also a priest, and a mafia boss. What the frick? These women need help. Oh god, of course they had to sneak in the emo boy somewhere. Gross. Bro! What is this? I think this is the closest representation of their size. Whose size different? Elite is smaller than Tiny, and Lorcan is practically a giant compared to her, towering over every book boyfriend out there. So Lorcan is definitely not enough. I need like 50 pages of specifics of what he did. Oh my god. Oh, this is Throne of Glass. This is Elite and Lorcan. What? The actual... The frick is this? That looks illegal. That looks illegal. I am uncomfortable. And I am going to close this picture now because I am wildly uncomfortable. Yep. Book Rex if your book boyfriend is Resand. And like, do we see this? It's always tattoos and leather. Ooh. Okay. Okay. We're gonna, yeah. Freaking A. That's what I'm talking about, though. That's what I'm talking. Oh. Well, I have to suffer, so you have to suffer with me. Those are the rules. I think this is supposed to be a bottle of champagne. The Weeping Willow. She's in the again with the freaking sleeve tattoos. I am just I'm horrified. This is the fantasy that has taken over Instagram. And like, I know we've gone on this insane tangent, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me as we went on that insane tangent. But the point of the matter still stands that what Maya Hawke was saying, I'll bring it back up here in just a second. Like, I really want you guys to like listen to what she's saying, because this is what is currently if you were ever curious like where these people come from, why this is happening, why this is popping up, it's because traditional legacy media does not understand social media. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand why something goes viral, and they think they can capture it and repackage it. This Disney, remember, Disney picked up that series. Disney picked up A Court of Thorn and Roses before they even knew what it was, because it was all over Book Talk and all over Bookstagram and all over BookTube, and she was just flying off the shelves left and right because these thirsty, desperate, freaking delusional women thought that like need it to fulfill this longing that they have but won't admit to actually having. Listen, I know all I need to know when the Gray books and the Twilight books and now these freaking Courts of Thorns and Roses books, like, they are taking off for a reason. These are lonely, desperate, misandrist feminists, why-nots, who are childless, who are absolutely miserable, are no longer desirable, and so they feed into this self-insert fantasy that they're actually desired by all of these high value, as they call it, high value men who actually want them but are too afraid to admit it. Just like that freaking, when the mafia boss, the dangerous mafia boss or whatever it said, but he's too shy to ask her out. That doesn't actually exist. But they are assuming that every man actually secretly desires them, because they can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want them, because they're absolutely perfect. Just like the characters in these books that are perfect women who just become more perfect at the end of the book. It's insane. So again, here's Maya Hawke's comments. Like, think about everything we just discussed the last 90 minutes and re-listen to these comments, and it makes so much more sense.
I think just figuring out the footing in these changing times of social media and public personality, and also how difficult it is to get things made. And it's like, where it's like, I don't care about Instagram. Instagram sucks. Right, but just so you know, if you have over this many followers, you can get the movie funded. Well, I want to make the movie, so like, it's a really confusing line to walk. And I've talked to so many smart directors who tell me that they get I'm talking to them about how I'm going to delete my Instagram, and they're like, just so you know, when I'm casting a movie with some producers, they hand me a sheet with the amount of collective followers I have to get of the cast that I cast. So if you delete your Instagram and I lose those followers, understand that these are the kinds of people that I need to cast around you. So like, and so it's confusing. And I find I'm thinking out loud with you right now. I think this will be a lifelong question for me.
And then we have.
So the guy that's interviewing her goes on to say from there, like, and of course there's going to be filmmakers that don't have access to social media. What filmmaker doesn't have access to social media? It's everywhere. It is everywhere. You may choose not to be a part of social media, but that's neither here nor there, whether you choose to be a part of it or not. It's going to continue on without you. And so these studios are literally a parameter for getting hired for them is going to be like, how many followers on Instagram do you have? How many followers on TikTok do you have? What's your YouTube subscription? Like, they're trying to take a traditional metric and they're trying to turn we know this already. Likes and reposts do not equate to dollars. Likes and reposts are minimal effort. There's no real investment. There's no time investment. There's no monetary investment. It's simply like it is the equivalent. It is the equivalent of like, gosh, I can't even think of anything that is that low effort, really. I actually cannot come up with anything that is that low effort and that low investment, because it's not like you're going to the theater to pay money to leave a like. You're not having to sacrifice very much time. Hardly any of these people actually, like, the ones who are bot clicking on these posts, they're not actually taking time to read these posts. They're liking, retweeting to own the chuds. Right? It's all about ideology and surface appearances. It's all this veneer. It isn't real. And you cannot convert that into dollars. You just can't. And Hollywood hasn't figured that out yet. Like, you can't, it's not like, oh, this post has 30 million likes, so the account that posted it, or the property that it's about must be worth like $3 million or something. Like, we can convert this 30 million. If we can convert this 30 million into viewers or readers, and they each pay $5, well, that's 150 million. That is like, again, I said this last night. I feel like that, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. The commercial where it's like, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Like, that's what I feel like right now. Here it is. I don't remember whose commercial this is, but this I am the woman standing up at the end with this trash. Here we go. This is me in my cardigan.
Not half the time.
I'd unfriend you.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That's not how any of this works. Like, that you cannot convert, and like, you can't be like, yeah, but what if we could? Like, wouldas, shouldas, and couldas. How does that saying go? If oh my gosh. Well, if gosh, if wishes and not if wishes were horses and beggars would ride, but it was like, if like snakes, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, but I can't remember the actual saying. What is that? If its and butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Yeah, if its and butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Like, you cannot make something materialize out of sheer will. You cannot bend the will of the public to your belief or to your. They've tried. We've watched them try. Okay? We have witnessed this, and it fails every single time because they simply refuse to learn a lesson, like the simplest of lessons. The simplest of lessons. They refuse to learn it. And it just, none of this works the way that they're trying to make it work. And the people, here's the thing, the people that they are attempting to turn into their so-called modern audience has the attention span of a goldfish. Like, so
the average view on a short or on a reel or on a TikTok is 7 seconds. They can be as long as a minute now, I think, but it's like the average is 7 seconds. Do you know the attention span of a goldfish is 5 seconds? 5 seconds. So a TikTok, a reel, the average engagement of any of those things is 7 seconds. Like, it's wild to me that it is literally the same amount or less of an actual goldfish. Like, now it is actually like the attention span of a goldfish. I remember when that would get told to me when I was little. Oh my gosh, kids just have the attention span of a goldfish. Now it's adults, full-grown adults have attention spans of goldfish. Their eyes glaze over and they completely just their skulls are empty. They're not necessarily thinking about anything. Or they're daydreaming about something that is unproductive and self-fulfilling. Like, it's wild where we are as a society in general. But yes, exactly, Jody. I was going to say something very similar. The interest must be organic. That is the only way that this converts into anything marketable or profitable. But legacy media has not figured that out. By the way, we're going to barely touch on this just very ever so quickly before, because like, it's been over, as you guys know, I try to keep the streams to 2 hours or less because I know everybody has their own stuff going on, and that all in all, it's just it's crazy to expect you guys to be able to hang for extensive periods of time. But to go in tandem sort of with like what Hawks, and we talked about this last night, that with the Hollywood Reporter, whoa with the Hollywood Reporter article. But the problem that we are now running into is content churning. Like, they are just trying to okay, just yes. So, all right, Disbrew, you and I can do a 12-hour stream. I'm down. We can do another one. We can you want to go to bed? I'm sorry, Subhuman. I know. But I appreciate y'all hanging out. But yes, so to briefly this what we've seen with ACOTAR, as they like to sub it into, this is what got released. Amazon MGM Studios shelled out an extra billion plus, so over $1 billion, to take creative control of James Bond from Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother Michael G. Wilson. So it took $1 billion to have them step down from the creative control after Amazon had already paid $8.5 billion for the IP for MGM, but they were going like, MGM has so many IPs, but everybody knows they were after Bond specifically. No, it wasn't planned. It was a completely organic 12-hour stream. You want a 24-hour stream? I would actually have to plan that. But yes, so it's insane that this is where we are. Like we talked about yesterday, Amazon only cares about content. That's what they want to produce. They don't want to tell great stories. They don't want to be part of like the culture war per se. They are, so what this strategy is called is accuracy by volume. They will just they will just blast out as much stuff as they possibly can and hope that a majority of it hits the target. That's called accuracy by volume. Obviously, if you are sending out enough content, some of it is going to land, right? No, it can't. And so this is the concern for so many individuals, myself included. It doesn't matter that Jeff Bezos went to Twitter, or X rather, excuse me, and was like, who do you think should be the next Bond? Like, that isn't this. This is the tweet, we shared it last night on stream. Who's your pick for the next Bond? It doesn't matter that he went to, like the town square to do this. And I obviously I replied not only with an actor, but with a director and a writer as well, because I don't trust Amazon at all. So you have to spell it out for them 110%. But they view this as pure freaking content, and they want to do spin-offs, and they want to create a Bond universe. And here's the thing. Ian Fleming was an incredible writer, and there are other 007s. You could have had, so Jinx from Die Another Day was the perfect way to spin off into a female-esque, like a female Bond-esque like story, right? It was perfectly set up, and you chose not to pursue it. Okay? You absolutely chose not to pursue it. They could have there is a female 00 in canon, in Ian Fleming's canon. There is a female 00. Okay? She's 008. Now, she does die. Spoilers. I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody. And it hits Bond really hard because at first they didn't know they didn't know that they were both 00s or whatever. But so there is a female, and I believe there's speculation that 003 may also be a female. But for sure there's at least one female 00. You could have easily explored these avenues before, but they aren't 007. Here's the thing. They know. Oh, D-Day, are you leaving? Bye. Thanks for coming. They absolutely know that none of the oh well, it's 003. It's but here's the other thing that they took for granted. 006, obviously played by Sean Bean as Alec 006 in GoldenEye. We know there's other 00s out there. We absolutely know there are other 00s out there. And they could have easily pursued this particular avenue. At any point in time, they could have followed it, right? But they chose not to because it's not as marketable as 007, as James Bond. Like, he is the quintessential 00. He is the best of the 00s. That's why he is who he is. That's why, as much as they hate him, they need him, and they know that he's the best. So, they wanted to be able to do this, and Deadline nails it right here with this sentence. Hence, it took another $1 billion to ensure that they could fully steer and exploit the Ian Fleming IP. And that is exactly what they want to do. They want to exploit it until there is nothing left, until it is an absolute husk, because that is what Amazon does. It uses until there is nothing left, until they've absolutely destroyed it. Look at Wheel of Time. Look at Rings of Power. Look at what they have done to these other IPs. And those are the two bigger ones. Amazon has destroyed plenty of other smaller IPs as well. And it's insane to me that people are still like, oh, give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Give them the benefit. This is a multi-billion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar company. Why? They don't need my benefit of the doubt. They need to hit it out of the park every single time. There's no gratitude. There's no humility. There's no care. There's no stewardship. It is all about content churning. It's not even content creation. It is content churning. That is all they care about. That's all they're looking for. That's all they're seeking. And it's insane to me that people constantly come to the defense of Disney, of Amazon, of freaking you know what? I'll give Universal props. They dipped their toes into this stuff, and then they were like, you know what? It's not for us. Now, where they're burning their money, I have no idea, because the Minions and the Despicable Me series makes money hand over fist. Like, it is constantly churning out the dollars. They have the Marvel theme rides in their parks. They have Harry Potter World. Like, I don't know where their money is going, but somebody needs to be investigated for waste at Universal, because whoever is spending their money unwisely, like, I'm just saying, Universal, you really need to find where that hole in your ship's hull is and plug it, because you should be like, why your stock is only worth like a tenth of what Disney stock is. I will never understand. I have no idea why you are so much so undervalued, especially below Disney, when they have just churned out loss after loss after loss after loss. Like, futures and like projections should only get you so far, and Disney continues to lie. They continue to lie, and they don't, there is no ROI. The return on investment is absolute dog crap. I would be livid if I was a shareholder in Disney. I would be livid. Thank God that I'm not. But this is what we've come to. Like, this is the state of things, because here's the thing. They want to be able to be memeable. They want to be Instagrammable, but they want it to only be positive. They don't want to be teased or mocked or have the mirror held up to them. They don't want a court jester. They want consumers. That is what they're aiming for. That is what they want. And if you give them anything other than that, then you are the problem. You are the toxic fan. You are the evil individual. Like, it's insane on its face. So it isn't just, oh gosh, it isn't just that there's these giant corporations that are literally destroying and repurposing and content churning out beloved IPs that have had built-in fan. That's the other thing. They're looking for built-in fans that they absolutely crap on the second they get control of these IPs. It's the fact that the people that they are pandering to are never, they're low effort individuals. If they have to put in any type of real effort, they will absolutely abandon whatever it is that they have been told. Like, you're the bad person for going to see it, but you shouldn't expect them to have to go see it, because that is something like they, then the waterworks come on. Oh, I haven't had time. Oh, I can't go to the theater by myself. Oh, I don't have the money for IMAX right now, and I really want to see it in IMAX so I can get the full experience. Like, have these what is it, excuses should sound very familiar, because it's always the same. You're a bad person for not going to see it. Okay, well, did you go see it? Well, that's different. I have this, and this. So it's just, it is just insane on the face of it, to continue down this unsustainable path. Like, this isn't something that you can just make. This isn't a money printing machine. The clicks and likes and views on Twitter or X or TikTok or Instagram or whatever does not automatically convert to dollars. It's just not how it works. But the way they see it is, oh, well, these people are influencers. They have a forward-facing platform that they can use to market our movie for us, because they're in it and they should market it for us. And that can be part of the stipulation. Well, now these influencers are getting wise, and they're like, hey, this is my brand. This is my livelihood. So no, you can't market on my Instagram or on my TikTok. Like, you're not going to get free marketing. I expect to be compensated to do these things, like have it written into the contract for however much compensation. And it's this self-devouring hole of mediocrity, and it's disgusting, and I hate it. And it's a system that doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And by the time legacy media figures that out, they will be sunk so far in the hole that other independent studios will be able to usurp them, essentially. Like, that's literally how it's going to be. It's going to be decentralized. and they are no longer going to have, they are so desperately trying to hold on to the power that they think they have that they don't realize they've already lost it. So that is where unfortunately we have arrived at. So the fact that, and here's the thing, the again, like I said, if things happen in isolation, they tend to not be as as encouraging or as notable about the winds of change. But the tides are definitely turning when you have Jeff Bezos, who is now trying to be like Elon Musk and go to the town square and actually ask opinions of fans, whether he listens to it or not, right? So you have that aspect of it. You have A Court of Thorns and Roses actually getting canceled by Disney, who is desperately trying to find their next piece of content, their next Disney Plus show, their next Hulu hit. But somebody found out, somebody actually looked at what was in those books and went, whoa, now we definitely cannot put that on a family friendly, like market that from the family friendly Disney company. That ain't work. That's literal hardcore prawn, right? So that is where we've landed. That is where we're at. But I don't know about you guys, but for me, these are very positive, albeit small, but positive changes that everybody should be really like excited for like maybe not like super duper excited, but to the point where the pendulum is swinging back the other way hard, and it is going to absolutely annihilate so many of these individuals who are just not going to be ready for it. They're not they're not prepared. They're gonna be like, whoa, I don't know what happened. And it's gonna be like, well, you should have listened to what everybody was trying to tell you about the like what was actually happening. So on that note, we've hit 2 hours. I know it's Friday night and I could go longer, but I won't keep you. I want you guys to enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much for stopping by. It means the world to me. It really is humbling that you guys spend not only like your time, but you share your thoughts in the chat, and we have a really good conversation. And I really do appreciate every single one of you so very much. It's very humbling. And of course, as always, God bless, Godspeed, much love. I will hopefully be streaming again very soon. I do have some videos in the work, and I'm good. You can stream 2 more hours. Maybe I'll jump for a later stream later. Maza gifted us a membership. Thank you. But I hope you guys have a great night. I will definitely see you all later. I appreciate every single one of you. And much love. God bless. Godspeed. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.
So I think just figuring out the footing in these changing times of social media and public personality, and also how difficult it is to get things made. And it's like, where it's like, I don't care about Instagram. Instagram sucks. Right. But just so you know, if you have over this many followers, you can get the movie funded. Well, I want to make the movie. So like it's a really confusing line to walk. And I've talked to so many smart directors who tell me that they get I'm talking to them about how I'm going to delete my Instagram. And they're like, just so you know, when I'm casting a movie with some producers, they hand me a sheet with the amount of collective followers I have to get of the cast that I cast. So if you delete your Instagram and I lose those followers, understand that these are the kinds of people that I need to cast around you. So and so it's confusing. And I find I'm thinking out loud with you right now. I think this will be a lifelong question for me.
Bond. James Bond.
Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like